Hi everyone. I am reacting to this video. This is going to be a long video, okay? But I am reacting to this video. I might not even finish the whole video because I don't even think it's necessary. But this woman is someone that I follow. I found her very fascinating. I found her videos maybe like a year ago. She is a former fundamentalist, raised in a very abusive fundamentalist Christian way by both her parents, but it kind of seems like it was mostly her mom, and her dad was just like going along with it. But I digress. Let's get started.
Hey everyone, welcome to Ex Fundie Diaries. My name is Ellie, my pronouns are they, she.
She used to say that her pronouns were she, they, but now she's saying they're they, she, and I think she's going to talk more about it.
And this video is a part 2 to a video I made in November called How I Knew I Was Non-Binary.
So this is literally exactly to a T what I was talking about in my video Inextricably Linked. I think Inextricably Linked was even inspired by this woman, Ellie, though I think I did mention her in that video, but so this is exactly what I was talking about. She was raised in a very abusive, very suppressive, fucked up, fundamentalist Christian way, and in her adult life, she was able to move away from that and run right the fuck into the arms of the trans cult. So that's what's going on with her.
Plus genderqueer. And no, you weren't imagining things. I have recently changed the order of my pronouns. I
roll.
am now putting they, them first and she, her second because I prefer they, them.
She prefers they, them, so she prefers not reality.
Okay with she, her, but I prefer they, them. And switching the order will hopefully make that more apparent going forward. And I definitely...
Yeah, because you're prioritizing your imaginary gender identity versus your real sex.
I want to say thank you to the commenters who encouraged me to do that.
You mean like the teenagers? This woman is about my age. She was married and she has a daughter, but she's really stuck on this teenage ideology that's super popular with children. So I'm just gonna put that out there.
It was definitely the right decision for me.
Oh my God,
and
sorry, why am I not watching this at more than one speed? I always watch these at higher speeds. We're gonna do this that fast.
I appreciate your support. I have lots of topics that I want to talk about on this channel and lots of ideas for future videos, but lately I've been feeling like I can't really make those until I make this video. That first video that I made about my gender identity just doesn't feel complete on its own. I personally find this conversation about gender identity to be very complex and complicated. I know other people may...
Is that because it doesn't fucking make sense?
...not feel that way, and that's totally valid. For me, it does feel complex and complicated.
Totally valid. Oh, it's totally valid, you guys. Just totally valid.
And so in this video, I'm going to do my best to explain where I'm at with all of these different aspects and what I have come to believe. As always, feel free to share your thoughts and your perspective down below. And also, I could change my mind on some of these things going forward. We'll see how things progress.
Yeah, I hope you do, because you're in a different abusive cult now.
But this is just a snapshot of where I'm at right now. So the very first thing that I want to address is actually my sexuality. When I changed my pronouns from she, her to she, they last summer, I got a few comments saying, why do you still identify as bisexual? Shouldn't you identify as pansexual? If someone wants to call me pansexual, I'm not offended. I think that that is technically accurate.
I do not understand the term pansexual. Bro, that shit annoys me. It's literally just a fancy way to say bisexual, but you're okay with getting with Tims and Tiffs.
But personally, I still feel deeply connected to the term bisexual, and I don't really see that changing anytime soon. For me, my definition of bisexual has actually included more than just men and women for...
Okay, well, there's no such thing, so I don't fucking know what you're talking about.
...quite a while, long before I ever started questioning my own gender. And I can give a few examples of this.
What the fuck is more than just men and women? Are you including like aliens? Cats? Christ.
In 2019, I came out to a couple of friends by doing a cover of Dodie Clark's song, I'm Bisexual. And in that song,
Okay.
some of the lyrics say, I have a heart that can love plural genders. And for me, that
Plural genders. Is that. Did the woman who did the song, was that meaning that she could love one person with multiple genders? Gender is not a real thing. Gender is a religious belief that people in the trans cult ascribe to and openly, display. Gender is not real, though. Sex is.
definitely included people under the non-binary umbrella. And then in 2020, my first purity culture video, which was, I think, the third video that I ever made on this channel, I came out as bi, and I said that what that means to me is that I'm attracted to my own gender and other genders. I haven't mentioned this on this channel yet, but I'm not straight. I identify as bisexual, and for me, that means that I'm attracted to my own gender and other genders. And again, this was long before.
Okay, so I've watched a lot of this woman's other videos, and let me just give you some backstory. This woman was extremely traumatized by her upbringing. She was not properly socialized with other children, which is the whole fucking point of public school. And I don't give a fuck for the most part. I'm actually against homeschooling. I think it's wrong. I have yet to meet a homeschooled person who I found to be quote unquote normal. She just details a lot of things in her own videos that spells out very clearly to me and anyone who watches them that she was extremely traumatized as a child. So let's just take that into account when watching this video and all her other videos and her new obsession with the trans cult.
I had considered that I might not be a cisgender woman. So, at the time I meant I'm attracted to women and I'm attracted to other genders as well, men, non-binary people, the whole spectrum. I have one more thing to share about this. I want to read a couple of quick paragraphs from the Bisexual Resource Center, which is a great website. Highly recommend it. I'll put a link down below. So it says, the BRC uses bisexual and bi plus as umbrella terms for people who recognize and honor their potential.
Okay, I'm fine with something like the Bisexual Resource Center existing. I don't have a problem with that existing as a website. That's fine. But, wouldn't it probably be better to actually talk to a real human being, like a real friend who is in fact bisexual, than go on a website about it?
For sexual and emotional attraction to more than one gender. And then they give some other examples: bisexual, pansexual, omnisexual, fluid, queer, asexual, and other free.
That's a new one. Omnisexual? Jesus Christ.
Identifiers. It's a common misconception that people who identify as bisexual are only interested in the binary genders of male and female. While it's true that
Oh my god, okay.
this may have been the origin of the word, we prefer the broader and simpler definition of attracted to more than one gender. And that is the definition that I prefer as well. So other bi people may have other definitions.
She probably prefers that because it was on the website.
But for me, I just look at it as an umbrella term for people who are attracted to more than one gender. Another one that I've heard that I really like is genders like your own and genders not like your own. The next thing that I want to address is the difference between gender identity and gender expression.
People reiterate this type of thing constantly. The people who are in the trans cult reiterate this type of thing in videos that they post constantly. And when you have to reiterate something like this so frequently in so many different videos, you are desperately trying to get yourself to believe something that is not true. That's why a lot of these people, a lot of the trans trenders, make videos of themselves explaining that they're whatever fucking gender they decided they are, explaining their dysphoria, explaining all this shit. But in reality, all they're doing is just regurgitating things that have already been said to them in other videos. I'm going to tell y'all something, and I've touched on it before, but being on camera is very powerful, okay? It takes things out of you that you were not aware were there. And it's almost, honestly, I know some of you have not read Harry Potter, but in Harry Potter, there's this potion, this magical potion that you can drink, and it forces someone to tell the truth. Being on camera is almost like Veritaserum, for real. okay? They are a sacred, special tool, cameras are, and we abuse them on the rig, including going on camera and spouting crazy, wacky bullshit like this trans crap, okay? And I think that's true of actual legitimate religions too. I think they waste a lot of time. I'm thinking of evangelicals, I'm looking at you, but I'm just thinking of these times when people go on camera and make Christian videos or whatever the fuck, and they're doing it in a way that is not constructive. Anyway.
There is a common misconception that gender identity and gender expression are the same thing. But identity is just that. It's your identity. It's who you are or the lack thereof. And actually, again, this can be androgynous or present in an androgynous way.
Yeah,
True.
like
There are plenty of non-
Like, I haven't fucking heard that 1,000+ times a year since 2005 when I was introduced to the trans cult. Come on, Ellie.
people that are either very masculine presenting or very feminine presenting. The bottom line is that people of all different genders can present in all different ways, and it's all completely valid. So, for example, why can't we have a masculine man, you know, a 6'5" muscly man wearing heels? Why can't we have a 5'1" woman wearing quote unquote masculine clothing and not wearing dresses? We can have those things, but the trans cult showed up and really muddled that message. And they said, okay, well, now if you wear these certain types of clothes, you must have a certain type of gender identity. It's so fucking stupid. you could have a man who is cis or trans who likes to wear dresses and keep his hair long and wear makeup, and he's still a man no matter what. The same could be true for a woman. Whether she is cis or trans, she could prefer to keep her hair short and wear very masculine clothes. And again, she's still a woman no matter what. For me,
this is a great example of how the trans cult is a reactionary movement. It's a reactionary set of thinking to abusive upbringings, to sexist abusive upbringings. Okay? Obviously.
Gender expression has changed over time, and it's something that I think confuses me sometimes, and I'm still trying to figure out and work through. But I can definitely say that as a child, which I talked a lot about in the first video, my gender expression was pretty masculine. I only wanted to wear boy clothes, and I hated wearing dresses.
No, she fucking didn't. There's no such thing as boy clothes. Come on.
And skirts were a compromise. And I think that if I had been allowed to present in the way that I wanted to, it's very possible that that could be my gender presentation now. Maybe not. It's honestly very hard.
You know, it makes sense to me that so many of these people always have to bring up their childhoods. They have to bring up the fact that mom and dad didn't let them do X, Y, and Z when they were a kid, so now they get to do it as an adult. I think that's fine to a degree. Okay? I saw a really cool video of this woman who was probably in her 40s or her 50s, and she never had a doll as a kid. And her coworkers got her a doll, and she cried. I'm almost crying just talking about it. But you can be 40, 50 years old and enjoy a doll in a childish way, right? That is allowed. And you can be 30, 25, 28 and wear the clothes that you wish you could have worn as a child. But that doesn't make you that child again.
To say, because that's totally not what happened. Actually, when I got into my teen years, especially my late teen years, I became very, very feminine presenting. Gender became a performance for me in many ways, not just expression. And it was also part of me seeking male validation, which I would argue, and I feel very strongly about this, Christian patriarchy and Christian fundamentalism in general is set up to do that. And of course, society does that in general. So I don't want to discount that at all. But there's definitely, in my experience, a very deep and added layer when it comes to Christian fundamentalism and Christian patriarchy.
So again, that's a really great example of having been raised in an oppressively traditional way, in an oppressively traditional environment, and this is just a reactionary movement from that.
Your worth is literally wrapped up in the way that men see you and in basically what you can provide to them. And the way that you look is a big part of that. that is a whole separate topic that I do not feel up for tackling in this video. At this point in my life, I have a fairly feminine presentation. I do buy most of my...
Okay, this is rather mean, but I'm going to say it. I'm going to go ahead and say it anyway. So she is not, super conventionally attractive, right? She's very normal looking. She looks like a bunch of probably people, a bunch of gals, a bunch of y'all went to school with, right? Very normal looking. And I've noticed that a lot of these women who become TIFs, a lot of these women who become babies, a lot of these women who, just get sucked into the gender ideology are just not, nor were they ever considered conventionally attractive. And so they feel that it's easier for them to fit in where other not conventionally attractive women are going, where other more normal looking women are going, which is the trans cult. There is nothing wrong with being a normal looking woman, a normal looking person, going about your life and not joining the trans cult about it.
Clothes from the women's section, I prefer keeping my hair around this length, so short, but not a stereotypically masculine haircut. I've also been realizing that I actually feel a lot of pressure to present in a more masculine way. Having a more feminine presentation often makes me feel like I'm not non-binary enough. But ultimately,
I don't really know how you can say something on camera like that, but okay.
I reject the idea that there is one way to be non-binary. That is totally not true. For me, at this point in my life, this is my most authentic self, the way that I am presenting in my day-to-day life. And
No, it isn't, because you're using an imaginary pronoun.
it would be silly for me to dress in a way that wasn't authentic to me or cut my hair in a way that wasn't authentic to me just because other people would expect me to.
So, wearing these clothes and having this haircut, and on top of that, this gender identity, is actually probably confusing her more than she's aware of. It is fucking confusing to your brain to have these imaginary gender identities and go along with this imaginary, you know, fucking star child, fucking YouTube star, fucking just trender horse shit. It fucks with your brain. Even if you don't get the surgeries, okay? It messes with your mental health. It really does.
Binary identity. So I think going forward, I really, again, want to work on affirming myself and accepting myself that I can be genderqueer and I can...
Okay, well, you can affirm yourself and accept yourself just as you are. I think that's probably a really big draw for a lot of these people who join the trans cult, is they're like, oh, I need to affirm and accept myself. Cool. You don't have to be non-binary, fluid, omnisexual, trans-trender to do that.
Dress and present however I want, however is most authentic to me and feels right at the time. All right, so those parts were the easy parts. Now I'm going to talk about something that I'm really nervous to address. It's one that includes me feeling misunderstood. I'm just going to do my best. I'm just going to try to speak from the heart. I have gotten some comments from people who I am assuming are cisgender women accusing...
Sexist. How dare you call me cisgender? Whatever. I'm used to it. I'm used to it, you hop.
...me of being misogynistic by identifying as non-binary or genderqueer. Before I read the comments, I want to give a content warning for transphobia. I will have a timestamp on the screen for anyone who would like to skip this part. The first comment I'm going to read is from 6 months ago, and it starts by quoting something that I said in my short where I announced using she, they pronouns. Sometimes I feel like a woman, but most of the time I just feel like a person. And the comment goes on to say, a woman is a person with a complex inner world and self-determination like anybody else. To reject womanhood because you feel like a person is so flagrantly offensive. A woman is not a stereotype and not a feeling. Womanhood is immutable and inescapable. The overturn of Roe v. Wade has made that abundantly clear on this day. I wish you well, but I hope the backwards religion that is gender ideology becomes clear to you. Why escape one oppressive ideology to dive headfirst into another? A woman can act and feel and think any way she wants, regardless of her biology.
Yep, that comment is spitting facts. Honestly, when she was going to read a comment, I was kind of hoping it would be one of mine because I write some rather scathing but true comments on her stuff. I have before. I haven't in a long time. I did not write that comment, but that comment was spot on. And now she's all mad or sad about it or whatever.
So, it's a long comment, but I picked this one specifically because I think it encapsulates a lot of the other ones that I've gotten and a lot of just sort of the general beliefs and feelings of a particular group of cisgender women who feel this way.
I think she actually wanted to say TERFs, but I think she knows that that term is misogynistic, so she decided not to use it.
I'd like to respond to some different parts of this comment. So I'll just start with the last sentence. A woman can act and feel and think any way she wants. I 100% agree with that. And I
Then why are you claiming to be a baby at like 30?
fully support women being exactly who they are, whatever that looks like. Now I'm going to go up to the top of the comment.
No, you don't, because you're an influencer who gets a lot of views. You're a YouTube person who gets a lot of views on her videos, and you are pretending you're not a woman.
This person quoted me, sometimes I feel like a woman, but most of the time I just feel like a person. So when I said that, I was still in the process of figuring out my gender and coming to terms with it, to be honest. I was struggling with a lot of internalized shame around not being cisgender, and I still struggle with that. And
a lot of internalized shame about not being cisgender. Probably because she had a lot of internalized shame from having been raised fundamentalist, a lot of internalized shame from sinning, a lot of internalized shame from not doing the right things under the umbrella of her oppressive religion that was forced upon her. She has a lot of internalized shame for not loving Jesus enough or something, and she just went ahead and traded that in for feeling shame for not being cisgender.
I said, sometimes I feel like a woman. Even then, it wasn't that often. Most of the time, I just felt like a person. And I want to explain.
You are a person if you're a woman, Ellie. Are you kidding me? Hope your daughter was at her dad's house. She didn't hear you say that.
Further, because I know that was just a short, and shorts are only 1 minute long. And honestly, I might move away from doing shorts because it seems like every time I do one, I leave out a lot of details and people get a little confused, which I totally understand. So to clarify, to make this really clear, when I said I just feel like a person, I in no way meant that women are not people.
Okay, well, that's what the gender ideology states, basically. The gender ideology does not prioritize women. It stomps on us. It prioritizes men. And it prioritizes women pretending that they aren't women by going by they, and also becoming trans, and being non-binary. Come on, this is not hard.
I was expressing and trying to explain is that I just felt like a person. Emphasis on just. A genderless person, or a person without gender.
That's not a thing. We do not have that. That literally does not occur in human beings. Okay? I don't even know how she fucking got to this conclusion.
Outside of the gender binary. That has everything to do with me personally and my identity, and nothing to do with how I view a whole group of people and their humanity. Okay, this next part is rough. The comment says, to reject womanhood because you feel like a person is so flagrantly offensive.
It is.
I do not believe that I am rejecting womanhood.
You are. You completely are.
I believe that I am just adding language to who I truly am.
No. Yeah, you're adding unnecessary language that is confusing you.
I don't have to falsely believe that I'm a woman in order to support women and to stand against misogyny, which I will talk a bit more about after I get through the rest of this comment. The next part says a woman is not a stereotype and not a feeling.
Yeah, no shit, Sherlock. You need it told to you. The fact that these people need basic facts stated to them and they find them hashtag triggering is extremely worrying to me.
Agree that a woman is not a stereotype. Stereotypes are put onto women incorrectly. I fully support women standing against gender stereotypes, rejecting those, rejecting gender norms and gender roles. I think that we should all reject.
You're not rejecting them by being non-binary and going by they. You are encouraging them and perpetuating them.
Gender roles, because they hurt everyone, is my very sincere,
including you,
sincerely held belief. The second part of this sentence, a woman is not a feeling, I think what this commenter is trying to say, especially with the next sentence, the overturning of Roe v. Wade has made that abundantly clear. I think they're talking about sex and genital.
Do you see how let's see if we can see that again. Do you see how she even had a hard time saying that word? She had a hard time saying the word sex. And that is because she was raised in purity culture, which is honestly like rape culture, which is entirely like rape-minded. So she has a hard time even contemplating the word or saying the word sex.
The overturning of Roe v. Wade has made that abundantly clear. I think they're talking about sex.
You saw it. You saw it here.
And genitals and body parts. People of all genders can have a uterus and...
No, they fucking can't, Ellie. Stop it.
Any other body parts.
No, they cannot. Period. Look at her. Look at her face. She knows that's not true. She knows that that is false, but she knows it's the thing that she needs to say because she's in the trans cult. That happens constantly within fundamentalist Christian circles.
These comments are strange to me because I could be wrong.
Really?
But many of them seem like they're coming from people who have watched my channel and enjoyed my videos and maybe have felt seen or validated by some of the experiences I've shared about growing up in Christian fundamentalism, specifically when it comes to gender, patriarchy, the gender roles that I was pushed into. I am still the same person. I just have more understanding of myself and more courage to share that. Honestly, I love women. I feel a very strong kinship with cisgender women specifically.
Okay, well, why don't you start expressing that by not referring to us as cisgender and yourself as cisgender, okay? Because cis is a sexist term. It means subordinate for women.
Because of the experiences that I share with them. I wish that we could have solidarity with each other and I wish that we could support each other. It hurts to get comments like this because it just feels like a rejection. So I think that's all.
Yeah, it is a rejection because you are outrightly rejecting yourself. And when other people see that, they're like, hey, why are you rejecting yourself? And you, like the teenage brain she has right now, it's not connecting those dots. It's not her making logical sense of these comments. It's just her like reverting to her traumatization of when she was in the fundamentalist cult and reenacting those things.
I want to say about that comment, but I do think that I have plenty of misogyny to continue to address. The world that I grew up in was and is extremely misogynistic. And so, of course, those...
Yeah, and that's not unique to fundamental Christianism. It's not unique to fundamental Christianity.
Messages are very ingrained in me. And I just want to hopefully reassure everyone watching that I know that and I am fully committed to confronting that and to unlearning those messages. And I don't think that I have to be a woman in order to do that.
You do have to be a woman because you are a woman, and that's never going to change.
Next thing I'd like to talk about is being perceived as a woman, because I am perceived as a woman, even though That's not my gender identity. There's this great video that I saw recently.
So the whole notion of perception, right, in the trender community, okay, that is, in my belief, based on compulsion. These people are compulsively trying to appear a certain way. It looks a hell of a lot like OCD to me. And that's just something you don't have control over. Because not everyone is going to perceive you how you want to be perceived, period. Even if you're not having gender dysphoria, you're not going to be perceived how you want to be perceived all the time. Sorry, it's a fact of life.
On Elena Joy's channel, one of my favorite YouTubers. She had Kira Graves on her channel. The video is called Signs You Might...
Oh God, this is good. I'm glad this video is long, because this clip, you'll like it.
...be non-binary. I definitely recommend watching the whole video, and I will put a link to that down below. But I also would like to put a clip of Kira talking about something that I really resonate with.
I definitely associate with non-binary, I associate with gender fluid, but I also really associate with being a person with female experience. Being like a
Being a woman, you mean, you idiot.
female identifying human. Because I really, really identify with being a female, but not a woman.
Are you saying?
But do you see how she said that? Oh my fucking God, dude. But not a woman. She fucking whispers it.
Being like a female identifying human.
Yeah.
I really, really identify with being a female, but not a woman.
She fucking whispers it like it's some kind of slur. That's what the trans cult does, everyone.
Are you saying because you've grown up socialized as female, you have like other people's putting of gender roles onto you has shaped who you are?
Yes, and how society just treats me when they look at me as female. It's shaped who I am a lot, and it's also been the subject of a lot of trauma, too. So I identify with...
Yeah, it's been the subject of a lot of trauma because it's traumatizing to be a woman in a patriarchal society. Genius.
being female.
You're like, this is an important part of my identity. This is an important part of who I am, but it's not my gender.
Yeah, and not everyone will understand what I'm saying, because every time I try to explain my gender, people are like, you're contradicting yourself, you're so confusing, you make no sense, but it's like, it's fine if it makes no sense to you.
Like, it does make sense.
It actually does. It's not fine, actually, honey. Sorry. It is not okay if that thing does not, what you're saying about your gender identity doesn't make sense to other people. I don't know about y'all, but have you ever spoken to people who have OCD? Or even seen videos of them? Because honestly, they think really outlandish, outrageous, nonsensical things. And the thing about that is they actually, on some level, know how nonsensical their thoughts are. Like, I'm making this up. People will do something like touch their doorknob as they're leaving the house 32 times, because if they don't touch their doorknob 32 times before they go outside, they're worried that they're going to get hit by a car, or they're worried that their mom's going to die if they don't touch their doorknob 32 times. That is someone who needs help. That is someone who is creating harmful scenarios in their mind, and that does not make sense. And what happens a lot with people who have OCD who do that kind of thing, like they're late a lot of the time. They're late to whatever, it doesn't matter, work, seeing a friend, whatever the heck, an appointment. You know, they don't go to the appointment and they're not like, oh yeah, sorry I was late, I had to touch the doorknob 32 times because I was afraid my mom was gonna die. You know how it is. They don't act that way, because they know that what they're doing does not make a lot of sense to other people. It makes sense to them, but to other people, it's not going to make sense. And that's why people who have OCD that is that crippling should get help.
I think it really does, because you're saying my gender identity.
And these people who make up all this fucking crazy bullshit banter about gender need help too, and they're not being given it, and no one is offering it, as far as I'm aware.
no gender, like gender's not a thing, but I also don't want to erase, forget, not acknowledge, stop living the experience of other folks identifying you as female in this world. Like that has consequences, that has shaped your lived experience.
Well explained, Elena. It sounds validating to hear you explain it in a way that makes sense to you.
I love the way that Kira explains how there
It sounds validating to hear you explain it in a way that makes sense to you. Honestly, I didn't understand any of that. Whatever the fuck she just said, it went one ear and out the other for me because I'm used to these idiots talking about all this fucking crazy ass banter that makes no sense. I don't even try to make sense of it anymore.
experiences are a big part of who they are. I feel the same way. So much of my life has been marked, impacted, influenced by being assigned female at birth. And
oh my god, moron. I fucking hate assigned female at birth. I fucking hate that shit. Okay? That shit, as far as I'm aware, what it really comes from is people who were intersex and they may have had ambiguous genitalia, and the doctor or whoever the fuck just wrote the most convenient thing, wrote the most, whatever the baby looked like the most, they just wrote that on the birth certificate. But that happens in 2% of live births. Okay, and that even then it doesn't even fucking happen that often. But I'm just saying 2% of live births in the United States are people who are intersex. But a lot of the time, you don't even know that when the child is first born. They don't even know that until they're an adult. Okay? So, and then, but fucking AFAB bullshit took the fuck off on Tumblr in like the aughts, maybe a little bit later than the aughts, maybe like the tens. Took off, people went with it, and now we have 30-year-old women like Ellie here acting like it's fact or something, or it's important. You're not assigned a weight at birth. If you're 8 pounds, you're 8 pounds. It's a fact. That is how much you weigh. Period.
the way that my parents and the other adults and leaders in my cult/community of Christian homeschoolers responded to that. The way that they raised me. Being raised as a girl, specifically a Christian girl, has been a ginormous part of my life. And all of those experiences are a part of me. They're important to me, and they impacted me so much. And I can't just let those go and pretend that they never happened. But when I'm called
And stop going by they.
a woman or other gendered language is used to describe me, lady, miss, ma'am, etc., it causes me gender dysphoria.
I don't think it does. I think she's just saying that because she knows that's the thing to say. Maybe you don't like it. I'm actually pretty proud to say I'm a ma'am now. I'm old enough to be called ma'am and not miss. Sometimes I get miss, but I don't like miss. Anyway.
You know, it feels really bad and really wrong. There's actually a comment that I got that I'd like to highlight because I really relate to it.
I don't like being called a lady. I think that's obnoxious. That makes me think of lords and ladies. It just also sounds stupid, honestly. But I understand it's going to happen, and I'm not going to like, I'm thinking about 2 years ago how someone, like, I ordered food at a food cart, and there were two guys working in there, and one of them was like, oh, can you get that lady's food? Like, so that really distresses you? Like, really? Okay.
And I really appreciate it. The comment says, the real eye-opener is talking to your friends that are cis women and learning they aren't just dealing with being a woman, and being female isn't just something I can live with, I guess. Ugh. And I relate to that comment 100%. That is a beautiful way to put it.
Well, figure it out, babe. You're a 30-year-old woman with a kid and a successful YouTube channel. Figure it out.
Okay, so the last thing that I want to talk about is positionality, and this has to do with power and privilege within the cis heteropatriarchy. And
wow, that's a new one for me. Cis heteropatriarchy. So, putting cis, you know what? We can do away entirely with cis hetero because it's just patriarchy. There's no need to put cis heteropatriarchy above it. That is just redundant.
to define that term really quick, I should actually look it up. Hold on. Okay, cis heteropatriarchy, the system of power that centers cisgender, heterosexual men and masculinity at the top of the gender/sexual hierarchy. And of course, cis heteropatriarchy is closely and deeply linked to white supremacy. So I want to share part of a TikTok that I came across.
Is it? I'm pretty sure women are treated badly in every single culture, just about in every single ethnic group across the entire world. I don't really think that's unique to white folks.
This last summer, and I actually have been realizing lately that I'm a little addicted to TikTok, so I would like to...
Well, that tells you all you need to know. She's addicted to watching teenagers talk about this bullshit, and that's why she's adopted all of it into her life. Sad.
Less TikTok in 2023, but I've learned a lot from creators that I follow on that app, and one...
You mean you've been indoctrinated, but okay.
The creators that I've learned a lot from is Mooney Maroon. He uses he, him pronouns. I'm going to share part...
Okay, this is whack. This is clearly a woman, but she uses he, him pronouns.
...of one of his videos, and I will put a link below to the video so that you can watch the whole thing if you'd like. But this particular part of the video explains the term positionality. When I came across this video and I was listening to that part of it, a bunch of things that I had been thinking about, kind of formulating in my mind based on things that I was learning, all clicked into place. And it just resonated so much and it made so much sense to me. And before I play the video, a content warning for racism, and I will put, again, a timestamp on the screen for anyone who would like to skip this whole part of the discussion. I want to take a moment to acknowledge the difference between positionality...
Everyone and anyone fucking knows that that's a woman. Everyone. But she uses he, him pronouns because she's fucking delusional. Okay.
Identity. Positionality has to do with how people in power perceive you and therefore what powers you receive. Identity has to do with how you internally see yourself. White womanhood is a positionality. It has to do with how you're perceived under the cis heteropatriarchy and therefore what powers you are granted. One of the most notable such powers, which you have likely noticed in the past couple of years, is the power to use your tears and distress to get people of color murdered. What a heavy thing. This power...
Whoa, excuse me? Your tears and distress to get people of color murdered. Whoa! I feel like that's a rather, I feel like that's a rather extreme accusation. A lot of the time, Black folks who get murdered or people of color who get murdered are murdered by police officers. And they are, in fact, white men. But okay.
Does not depend on your gender. It depends entirely on your positionality. Similarly, all other aspects of white womanhood, the positionality, do not depend on your internal gender. As you are likely well aware that all the oppressions of white womanhood also do not depend on your internal gender. White womanhood is not a gender, just like every other racialized gendering that white supremacy does. Mammy is also not a gender. Neither is Jezebel, nor is thug, nor is criminal. I want to continue to...
I'm a little bit confused. White womanhood is not a gender? No, it's a sex. It's a sex and it's a reality. Why would that be a gender? Okay.
Deconstruct and unlearn the messages of the ideology of white womanhood, specifically, in my case, the ideology of white Christian womanhood. So I think that about covers everything that I wanted to address, to talk about.
So what's going on with all this crazy, like, banter and all this cult behavior and all these new words and sentences that the trans cult is formulating is it's confusing people. It's causing people to take a lot of time like looking into nonsensical shit that just does not pan out. Like, of course you want to be aware of your privilege as a white person. Of course you want to not be racist, but like everything that's just been discussed in this video in the last like 2 minutes just seems like total and complete virtue signaling as well as total and complete gibberish. Okay? Like, the fact that these people are on this new fucking humongous wave of NewSpeak is not helping any of their causes. It ain't.
Like I said, I have a lot of ideas for different videos that I would like to do on my channel. I will say that these days, unfortunately, I don't have a lot of time or energy, to be honest, to make...
Okay, that's everything you need to see. Thank you for watching my video. Hope you get it together, Ellie. You're a woman. You always will be. Stop acting like you aren't, and stop watching TikTok because it's fucking with your brain. I guess I also just want to say that transgenderism promotes prolonged adolescence. Like, I've seen Tim's talking about this, about how they're like, oh yeah, all trans women go through this phase where they just wear too much makeup, they wear too many colors, and that's because we never experienced girlhood. That is really odd. That is really strange. AGPs are to be avoided. They are dangerous. Okay? this woman was raised in a religious setting that was very harmful, and a lot of the religious figures, I'm sure, like the pastors, like the popular televangelists or authors or whoever the fuck were popular in her homeschool curriculum, that kind of thing, were treated like religious figures. They're treated like idols, right? And now in the trans cult, we have the trans people being treated like idols, being treated like religious figures, and it's fucking everyone up, including you, Ellie. So thanks for watching my video. I hope you fucking get it together. Sorry this is so long. I don't even know if I'm going to post this. Goodbye.